That's right. Good night, everybody.
President Bush off to Rome, but thinking of political problems on the home front.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from NBC News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. Election Day +1, and the message is clear tonight. The people are sending a message to both parties. If you're in, you may soon be out. They don't like taxes, they do want better health care, and they want someone to do something about the national economy. NBC's Andrea Mitchell is in Washington tonight with lessons learned. Andrea?
Tom, if this is a snapshot of America a year before the presidential election, what we're seeing are voters who want change. The strongest message was in Pennsylvania. The unlikely messenger, a former college president, a non-politician who was virtually unknown a few months ago.
I began with the headline saying, "What is Harris Wofford? It sounds like a town in Great Britain."
By the end of the campaign, they had learned his name. Although appointed to the Senate last spring when John Hines died, Wofford campaigned as an outsider, calling for jobs, middle-class tax cuts, and most important, national health insurance. He touched a nerve, trouncing his better-known opponent, former Bush Attorney General and two-term Governor Richard Thornburgh, who was tagged as a Washington insider.
We clearly saw about 4 weeks ago this mood developing of dissatisfaction, discontent, and anxiety about the direction in which the country was going.
They're angry and they're fed up and they want change and they want action to get our economy off dead center and get us moving out of this recession, and they want national health insurance.
Both parties got hit by the anti-incumbent backlash. In Mississippi, a rising star of the Democratic Party, reform Governor Ray Mabus, lost to businessman Kirk Fordyce, the first Republican governor elected there in more than a century. Although George Bush led the cheering today for Fordyce's victory, he won partly by playing the race card, appealing to some of the same white fears David Duke is exploiting in neighboring Louisiana. New Jersey voters also gave their Democratic governor a sharp kick. Angry about higher state taxes, they turned out the Democratic legislature. Governor James Florio will now face veto-proof Republican majorities in both houses.
It was Republicans and Democrats alike joined together to say no to arrogance, no to heavy-handed governance, and no to taxes.
In their own way, voters in Washington state also showed their independence, rejecting term limitations. Throwing the bums out became less appealing when people realized they would lose a lot of clout, especially in regional disputes with California. That doesn't mean voters are happy with their politicians.
They want to see problems, real problems, like health care and education and crime dealt with.
If Democrats could ever capitalize on those themes, they could put some fear into the heart of George Bush. Tom?
Thank you, Andrea. And NBC's John Cochran is with the president in Rome tonight, where the official line from the traveling White House is, nobody now is taking anything for granted. John, what's the latest there?
Well, the president insists he is not panicking, Tom, but he is definitely running scared. What is wrong with this picture? After all, here we have the leader of the only remaining superpower arriving for a big international conference at a time when American foreign policy is riding high. But Bush's foreign travels don't play well in Peoria. A lot of Americans think Bush should be working on unemployment in Peoria, Pittsburgh, and Pocatello instead of debating the future of NATO in Rome. At a remarkable sunrise news conference before his departure, Bush was on the defensive constantly, claiming he really wanted to stay home.
I hate going away with Congress still in session. Heavens knows what'll happen, but there's a chance now to pass a growth package, which I've been advocating for about 2 years now.
Bush said he postponed a Thanksgiving trip to Asia because Congress may still be in session. But Bush's aides say the real reason is that Democrats struck a nerve with charges that he is an absentee president.
I have a message for the president. Arrivederci. Yesterday's election sent a clear message from the voters. It's time we started to take care of our own.
Bush also got the message from Pennsylvania, especially on health care. In September, Bush's top aide, John Sununu, was in no hurry.
The last thing in the world you want to do is rush to a magic health care solution.
Today, Bush spoke with more urgency.
One of the messages in Pennsylvania, try to help people with health care.
Bush was also defensive on racial politics as he emphatically rejected Republican David Duke in next week's gubernatorial election in Louisiana.
I think more important than that is that I be positioned clearly and definitively against racism and against hatred and against bigotry. And that, for me, sums it up as to what he stands for.
As for this European visit, Bush sees no political gain for himself. Even after the Pennsylvania results, on the whole, he would rather be in, yes, even in Philadelphia. Tom?
Thank you, John. The election results are in, and results are like beauty. They're in the eye of the beholder. Tonight, we want to take a look at the results through the eyes of Ron Brown, National Chairman of the Democratic Party, and Clayton Yiter, who is the Republican National Chairman. Chairman Brown, we'll begin with you because I know that you have been saying all day long what a triumph this has been for the Democrats given what happened in Pennsylvania. But your party took big hits in Mississippi, losing the governor's race and the legislature in New Jersey. Doesn't that say to you that 1992 could be a very unpredictable year and that you could be damaged as well?
Well, because we're focusing on 1992, we were really looking at Pennsylvania. If any place was a referendum on George Bush's leadership or lack thereof, it was a Pennsylvania Senate race. Dick Thornburg really rode his election campaign on the Bush domestic policy, which is no policy, no change, no creativity. Harris Wofford ran on a Democratic domestic agenda, health care, getting us out of this crippling Republican recession, and really focusing on home. How can we deal with the problems of everyday working men and women and working families who are struggling, some of them unsuccessfully, to make ends meet in America today?
I want to come back to that in a moment, but Chairman Yiter, let me ask you, the president now says that he probably will be in favor of national health care. He's flip-flopped on taxes. He's about to flip-flop on health care. He looks like the president of political expediency at this hour.
Oh, Tom, I don't think he's going to flip-flop on health care at all. All he's simply saying is that that's an issue that merits attention in the U.S., and he said that for a long period of time.
Well, but does that mean that he's just going to give a lip service, that he's not going to deliver on health care?
Oh, no, he will come forth with specific proposals in that area in due time. There is certainly no consensus on either side of the political aisle as to how to deal with that question. But beyond that, Tom, let's recognize that the Wofford race was not the only race in the country this year, and as a matter of fact, the big loser yesterday, in my view, was the Democratic Party, not the president. We had big wins, as you pointed out, in Mississippi and New Jersey, but also big wins in Mario Cuomo's home territory in New York, and huge wins in Virginia. So most of the winners yesterday were Republican winners, not Democratic winners, so let's keep it all in perspective.
Chairman Brown, let me ask you about what happened in New Jersey and in Mississippi. In New Jersey, there plainly was a backlash against raised taxes to pay for more social programs. In Mississippi, the Republican candidate has been accused of playing the race card, but there is a lot of white middle-class frustration with continuing welfare programs and, indeed, with affirmative action. How will the Democrats deal with that?
I think we have to deal with it frontally. We have to be the party that really speaks to the needs and aspirations and goals of everyday middle-income Americans, those who feel they've been left out during the Reagan and Bush years because of the discredited economic policy and philosophy that the Bush administration has followed, that kind of trickle-down economics, the theory being if you make the wealthy wealthy enough, it'll somehow get down to the middle class. That hasn't happened, and we have to step forward with our own tough, strong, aggressive economic recovery plan, which we've done. The centerpiece of it is middle-class tax relief. The president still wants to give another tax break to the wealthiest Americans. We think that's unacceptable.
Chairman Yiter, very briefly, if President Bush gets in trouble in the polls, will Dan Quayle stay on the ticket?
Oh, the vice president will assuredly stay on the ticket. He deserves to be there. The president is going to pull up in the polls as we begin to recover from the recession. We will recover if we get an economic growth package of the kind that we need to take care of the middle class in this country. We'll see the president doing things for the middle class as we have for a long time. All we get on the Democratic side, Tom, is just a lot of rhetoric. Those folks have never done anything for the middle class of America.
Chairman Yiter, Chairman Brown, thank you very much. The word you'll hear a lot in the next year is spin. These are the spin masters for the two national parties. Here's a look now at some of the other issues decided around the country in the last 24 hours. Washington state voters rejected a proposal to allow doctors to help the terminally ill commit suicide. Houston voters, angry about crime, denied Kathy Whitmire a sixth term as mayor. She placed third. Her successor will be chosen in a runoff next month. Salt Lake City elected its first woman mayor, Dee Dee Corradini. She hopes that her election will be a beacon to other women, as she described it. And Holyoke, Massachusetts, decided against $3 million in new taxes to help its financially strapped schools. Voters did approve, however, more than $1 million in new taxes for trash collection. When Nightly News continues in a moment, the people send a message and the Federal Reserve sends interest rates down again. And tonight's Vital Signs, the runaway cost of health care, now a hot political issue. Robert Hager will tell us what might be done.
Extra Strength Maalox Plus, the strongest antacid there is, now comes in extra strength tablets. Stronger than Tums, stronger than Rolaids. New Extra Strength Maalox Plus, now in tablets.
My doctor told me it's the strongest. My stomach tells me it's fast.
With the highest resale value in its class and proven Honda reliability, the Accord is a safe place to put your money.
Pain from just one sensitive tooth can start the domino effect. Pain can make you stop brushing, lead to plaque buildup, gingivitis, periodontal disease, even tooth loss. Sensodyne toothpaste helps stop the pain and the domino effect.
Campbell's heard your healthy requests.
Low cholesterol.
Less salt.
But lots of taste.
Here's our answer. New Campbell's Healthy Request ready-to-serve soups. All the great taste you want without some things you don't. New Campbell's Healthy Request. And healthy.
Two major interest rates were slashed today in an effort to jolt the economy. Major banks cut 0.5 percentage point. The prime rate to the best customers, its lowest in 5 years. This came after the Federal Reserve dropped its key discount rate to the banks, also by 0.5 percentage point, to an 18-year low. That's welcome news to the White House, of course, jolted by the election results. NBC's chief economics correspondent is Irving R. Levine.
The president expressed the hope that the Fed action would bring the economy back to life.
I think when you look at historically low interest rates, a lot of people will suddenly wake up and say this is a good time to buy a home, a good time to buy a car.
That's what's supposed to happen when the Federal Reserve lowers the discount rate it charges banks for money, but it hasn't. Interest rates are supposed to drop all along the line. That would make it less expensive for Americans to borrow money to buy homes, cars, and other things and get the economy moving. But the Fed has dropped the discount rate 5 times in less than a year, and yet the economy remains stuck in neutral. Mortgage rates have already dropped to a 14-year low, under 9%.
But I think the consumer uncertainty, the general malaise in the economy these days is keeping people out of the housing market and will keep keeping them out.
At a New York City car dealership,
if you have good credit, right now you can get a very good deal on an auto loan.
But even a further drop in auto loan rates may not be enough to get car sales out of their rut. As for interest rates on credit cards, rates have actually climbed to an average 19% at the same time that other rates have fallen. And now that the Fed has acted again,
the reduction in interest rates is probably not going to affect credit card interest rates very much at all.
The Fed action doesn't eliminate the basic problem. Americans are worried about the economy and their jobs and are hesitant about borrowing and spending no matter how low rates are. Irving R. Levine, NBC News, Washington.
Also worried, NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, one of the most successful military alliances in history. NATO now is suffering an identity crisis in this new world order. NBC's Arthur Kent tonight.
During the Cold War, it was straight, sometimes dangerous sailing for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Then the alliance's enemies were shaken, uprooted. But communism's failure has not meant an easy victory for the U.S. and its 15 NATO partners.
The threat is now not one of an attack from outside NATO upon the NATO members. The problem is internal instability within the wider Europe.
Civil war in Yugoslavia is the most immediate threat, but NATO's military machine is watching from the sidelines. It's unclear how the alliance would respond if the fighting spilled over into other countries or if instability in the Soviet Union erupted into conflicts there. To tackle regional crises, NATO members France and Germany have formed a joint military force. But other European leaders say this new alliance could weaken NATO and jeopardize Western Europe's ties to the U.S.
So we do need to have still an American military presence in Europe, not only for military reasons, but also for political reasons.
I really do believe that
senior U.S. commanders agree.
It makes sense to work together on problems we face in the world rather than standing alone.
But NATO members meeting this week likely will not be able to redefine the alliance for the future. That, say defense analysts, could leave the public wondering if NATO has a future.
Ordinary people will say, in America, why do we have to have our boys over in Europe? And Europeans would say, well, what are these Americans doing here?
Ensuring peace, say NATO members, and dismantling Cold War weaponry. As for tomorrow's strategy, that's something NATO leaders are still just talking about. Arthur Kent, NBC News, Rome.
When Nightly News continues in a moment, the latest debate over national health insurance for this country.
What do you smell?
I can't smell anything. My nose is clogged, yeah.
For fast relief, try Dristan 12-hour nasal spray. Now smell.
It's an orange. Dristan nasal spray just works incredibly fast.
Dristan, the face of relief today.
Presto has a great idea.
Shoot some slices, shoot some shreds, shoot some salad, salad shooter.
Now, Presto has a great big idea. Professional salad shooter slicer shredder. Big capacity, holds a lot, shoots a lot. Powerful, fast, a variety of cutting blades so you can point and slice thick, slice thin, shred right into the bowl, even ripple cut. Chop, grate right where you want. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe, store anywhere.
Salad shooter.
Original, cordless, now professional salad shooter.
I swim, I jog. I love junk food. Sometimes even I get constipation. When it happens to me, I take this little pill. It's Ex-Lax. Surprised?
More people choose Ex-Lax than any other laxative. Today's Ex-Lax gives you a choice. Extra gentle pills when you need a little help. Regular pills when you need a little more. Today's Ex-Lax, for regular people who sometimes aren't.
A driver's side airbag is now standard on every new Accord, Civic, and Prelude. But remember, it's most effective when you wear your seatbelt.
Our daily difference tonight, vital signs. Healthcare costs in this country are out of control, and the voters now have spoken. They want relief fast. NBC's Robert Hager tonight.
Dallas, Texas. Hospitals complain they're overloaded with uninsured patients. Chicago, 22-year-old Jenny McClellan faces extensive hospitalization for a glandular disorder. Her insurance covers only half the cost.
Scared. I don't know where we'll get the money at.
American medicine boasts the finest equipment. There are more magnetic resonance imagers in the single state of Minnesota than in the entire country of Canada. Exotic operations abound, organ transplants, open heart surgery. But health costs for the average American have grown from less than $300 a year in 1970 to more than $1,000 in 1980 to more than $2,500 for an average person today, way more than any other country. Still, the U.S. ranks 24th among nations in infant mortality, 20th in life expectancy for men, and with 34 million not covered by insurance, we're the only major industrialized nation in the world without universal coverage. There's agreement on the problem, but those who must ultimately agree on a solution, the politicians, are probably correct in saying there's no national consensus yet on what that solution should be. One possibility, national health insurance, an old idea. Present your government card at the clinic, as in Canada, and the bill's taken care of. Some say that could save $100 billion a year. A big believer in Congress, Illinois Democrat Marty Russo, was gloating today.
The American public have made it clear yesterday that national health insurance is politically feasible.
Others disagree, saying Americans won't put up with being told what doctor they must visit, and arguing that when the U.S. government takes over anything, it winds up costing more, not less. Another possibility, play or pay, some call it. Employers would be forced either to play by providing health insurance to all workers or pay a tax to support a public benefit plan for those not covered. House Ways and Means Chairman Dan Rostenkowski favors that.
It's becoming of great concern to the American people. But until such time as the president moves, I think that we're going to have a dilemma.
Which raises a third possibility, whatever the Bush administration settles on. The administration clearly does not believe a big new government insurance program would save money. Health Secretary Louis Sullivan.
These recent reports are outrageously misleading.
Last month, Budget Director Richard Darman sort of said there will be a plan.
And I suspect we'll all be at a signing ceremony in the second Bush term.
But Darman didn't say what should be signed, and didn't mention that before anything is signed, there's an election. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
Back in a moment, John Chancellor's commentary on what we saw on Election Day 1981.
Power. Applied intelligently, its effects are magnificent. Witness the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, powered by the world's largest 24-valve V6 engine and an electronic transmission. It's a car designed to provide a more intelligent standard of performance, measured not simply in miles per hour, but by a slightly different gauge, miles per gallon. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Alaska. Cold, clear waters. This is where it begins. Red Lobster now brings you the Alaskan Crab Rush. When snow crab is at its sweetest, juiciest. Right now, enjoy 8 great crab dinners starting at just $8.99. The Alaskan Crab Rush. Before it's over, rush to Red Lobster.
Because some aches and pains don't go away when the lights go out, we've created new Tylenol PM, specially formulated with extra strength Tylenol pain reliever for those aches and pains that can keep you up at night, plus a gentle ingredient to help you sleep, so you can wake up refreshed in the morning. From the name you trust comes new Tylenol PM, so you can rest easy.
Nighttime, one of the worst times for pain. That's why you need new Ultra Strength Bengay with added power. It's the strongest Bengay ever. Fast relief from muscle aches and minor arthritis pain. With new Ultra Strength Bengay, you can say goodnight to your pain.
You know, California prunes have a lot of vitamin A. And they say that vitamin A is good for your eyesight. Maybe you haven't had a prune lately.
Sweet, delicious California prunes. Find out how good they really are.
Our commentator, John Chancellor, is in Washington tonight, as you can see, where he's prepared in his commentary to guide us through the rocky waters of conventional wisdom. John?
Well, I'll do my best, Tom. For me, there's one word that describes yesterday's elections: normal. I think the elections produced results that are mainstream and middle of the road. In the Pennsylvania Senate race, the Republicans blew a 44-point lead in the polls, which was dramatic. But a more important number in Pennsylvania was 6.8. The national unemployment rate in this season of gloomy economics. The recession hasn't gone away as far as politics is concerned, so it's no surprise that the party in the White House took a hit in Pennsylvania, or that George Bush, who campaigned for his party in a couple of states, had no coattails. A number of incumbents lost, but there was no tidal wave of sentiment to throw the rascals out. It was the same for votes to limit terms in office. Term limits were defeated in Washington state, but approved in Houston and Cincinnati. No national pattern on social issues either. Gay rights laws were upheld in St. Paul, Minnesota, but rejected in Ferndale, Michigan. All politics is local. And yet it seemed to me that there was an unusual amount of national interest in these elections, as though we expected them to tell us where things stand after the Gulf War and the Thomas hearings and the bad economic news, to tell us where we're heading in these uncertain times. Yesterday's elections didn't do that. But if the country is beginning to search for answers to fundamental questions about national purpose and direction, next year's elections could be really interesting. Tom?
Thank you, John. British newspaper tycoon Robert Maxwell died of natural causes. Spanish authorities say the 68-year-old billionaire was dead before he fell from his yacht into the Atlantic, apparently dead from a heart attack.
This can't be my new apartment.
Good thing I brought Lysol Pine Action. They've made it better. Now it cleans with hospital-type disinfection, the strongest you can buy.
Now it's starting to feel like home.
Improved Lysol Pine Action, a more powerful pine.
Mice. For everyone you see, there may be 15 or 20 that you don't see, and they eat in many different places. A very unhealthy situation. But put Decon Mouseproof in the places mice feed, like behind the refrigerator, the cupboard, the washer, and you'll eliminate them faster. Decon Mouseproof gets mice right where they live.
Oh, what people do to clean tough stains under the rim. Because for some bowl cleaners, that's a real stretch. Try a different angle. The angle neck of Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner. It easily goes under the rim and wipes out stains and germs. Don't get bent out of shape. Get Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner, the heavyweight with a powerful angle on cleaning.
Ford Motor Company. Profiles in quality. Pride.
When you get pride, you get quality. That's what I said back in '81.
And today we still have that same pride.
And from what we hear, a lot of people think we're doing a pretty good job.
You can hear the quality.
You can see the quality.
You can feel the quality in the way it handles.
Thanks.
That's what happens at Ford, Mercury, and Lincoln when quality is job one.
When you're all stuffed up and use an ordinary nasal spray, it drips into your tissue where it can't help you breathe. But not Sinex Ultrafine Mist. Its medicine stays where you need it, so you can breathe the way you want to. We don't drip down, we clear up.
It's gone. But it isn't.
My cough drop's gone, but it's still working.
Only new extra-strength Vicks cough drops give you twice the Vicks vapor medicine to relieve your cough and help your scratchy throat and stuffy nose feel better.
Even after it's gone.
In California, it always seems to be something. If not an earthquake or a fire, it's a bug. And as NBC's Keith Morrison tells us tonight, this new one is a serious pest.
You just wouldn't think that such a cheery Christmas flower could cause all this trouble. Poinsettias from Florida came with a little passenger last year, so they call this the poinsettia whitefly. Out here in Southern California's inland valleys, it's a superfly, a very bad bug indeed.
Literally thousands to hundreds of thousands of whitefly nymphs on every leaf have sucked the plants dry.
For miles and miles here in the nation's winter salad bowl, you see plowed under melons, cantaloupe, honeydew, no good to anybody. And if that were all, it would be bad enough. But this super bug turns out to have an appetite as varied as it is voracious. It likes just about everything. So, a few weeks from now, when the broccoli and cauliflower and other vegetables ought to be about due...
Well, I think they're going to be short supply for sure.
And every morning by 4:30, hundreds of farm workers show up at the employment office and are told there is precious little for them to do. A fly-borne depression that has sent the rural economy here into a wild tailspin. In the cities, people are already grousing, understandably, about cantaloupe that are both inferior and expensive when you can find them. Actually, some of them aren't so bad, but you know they want $3.50 for this? And you might as well get used to it. The fly is attacking crops in Texas, Arizona, Florida, and Mexico, too. What to do? Spraying hasn't been effective. Now they're trying to start a bug war with something called
Delphastus pusillus, which is very
That's a tiny ladybug. And they're trying to breed wasps like this to sick on the flies. But that will take 2 years anyway. And meantime, the flies have discovered grapes and like them and are headed north to the fertile Central California Valley. They're hungry, and what they eat, we won't. Keith Morrison, NBC News, Los Angeles.
That's Nightly News for this Wednesday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Up next on your 24-hour news source, for Central Iowa, another day of snow, slick roads, and traffic accidents.
Out here at the airport, planes are leaving on time, but they're not getting into the airport very well. I'm Tom Hauser. I'll have a live eye report.
Plus part 3 in our special series of reports with open arms, Iowans in Romania.
Those stories, Gary's bone-chilling forecast.
And in sports, Drake basketball meets the press, all just ahead.
Phew, there's a lot of groceries here, but I always save a bundle at Food Saver. They've got the freshest produce, the finest selection of meats and seafood, a great deli, bakery, even a video and floral department. I really save with the wall of values, and checkout is fast and friendly. Best of all, Food Saver has everything at 10 to 30% less every day. Well, don't take my word for it. Shop Food Saver yourself and save 10 to 30% every day.
Food Saver Store.
It's easy to make your home better with help from Menards. Save now on solder, ready-to-assemble furniture and add versatility and style to your home. This VCR tape storage cabinet is just $33.88. Glidden spread satin paint is on sale, too. It's America's favorite wall paint. Choose from popular pre-mixed colors, now just $8.99 a gallon. You'll find the quality you want for less at Menards.
Save big money at Menards. Give me that $1,000,000 smile. You could spend your life happy. Play for the freedom. Play for the possibilities. Your dreams may come true. The world could open to you. So smile. Your $1,000,000 smile. Play Lotto. It's a great chance to change your life.
You're watching WHO TV 13 Des Moines, your 24-hour news source. And now, John Bachman, Kim Kerrigan, Rick Silvestrini with sports, and meteorologist Gary Amble with tonight's forecast. This is News Center 13 at 6.
Our Sky Eye camera with a picture of gray and white as snow blanketed the downtown area. However, it was anything but a peaceful scene today as motorists fought with Mother Nature to stay on the road. Good evening. We're glad you could be with us. Another winter welcome for Central Iowa.
The calendar may only show early November, but one step outside today convinced most folks otherwise. In a moment, live updates on the weather and road conditions throughout the metro. But first, not a great day to travel. Snow plows were called into action early today to clear the freeways and to sand hilly streets in the metro. But at times, like here on this hill on Grand Avenue, sand did little good as vehicles spun their tires and tried to get a grip on the slick conditions. Accidents everywhere. Here, a semi tries to avoid one wreck along a freeway ramp and watches its tires lock up and the truck skids to a jackknife stop, just a foot away from causing another fender bender.
As you can see, travel's a bit tricky out there tonight. In a moment, we'll have 2 live reports on conditions. But first, if you're planning to travel tonight, you may want to call the DOT's Road Report Hotline, the number you see on your screen, 288-1047. Now, as we said, we have 2 crews checking conditions in the metro area at this hour. Tom Hauser will join us with a live report in just a moment. But first, we go to Ed Wilson along the freeway. Ed, how do things look out there?
Kim, actually, my advice to folks coming home from work tonight or traveling tonight would be to take I-235. The freeway right now is clear for the most part. On the sides, of course, there is some snow that has been piled up during the day. But right now, things are pretty good right here in the capital city. Across the state, there are some roadways that are having some problems. There's the map now that will show you I-35 north is normal. Here we do have the snow cover on some of the roads, and out to the west, a lot of snow cover on I-29. Out to the east, things are pretty good right now. It looks like we've picked up the bulk of this storm, and as far as road conditions are concerned, they should be improving throughout the night, and tomorrow, temperatures will be plummeting, though. And Tom Hauser has been out in this all day long. He is out at the airport right now, Tom. There's been some traffic problems out there as well, right?
Yeah, but not too bad. The airport has been open all day long. I was just inside checking the departure and arrival boards. Looks like everything is departing on time, believe it or not. The only problem is some of the planes are not getting in here right on time. They're having a little more trouble landing than they are taking off, but no major problems. So if you're going to be picking somebody up out here at the airport, they might be a little bit delayed, but if you're leaving the airport tonight, you should be able to get out on time.